Did you know that, starting at age 60, we lose an average of 3% of muscle mass per decade, often without even noticing? This silent process has a name: sarcopenia, a condition that affects millions of elderly people worldwide, reducing strength, mobility, and in many cases, their very independence. The most alarming part is that many only realize it when they can no longer climb stairs without support or lift a grocery bag. And here's a warning: this is not a natural consequence of aging, it's a clear sign of nutritional neglect. The good news: it's possible to reverse this with simple daily actions. And among these actions is the regular consumption of specific foods that naturally and effectively strengthen muscles. And no, we're not talking about expensive supplements or restrictive diets. We're talking about something surprisingly accessible: cheese. Recent studies show that certain types of cheese, when consumed daily, not only help combat sarcopenia, but also consistently restore muscle strength. Stay tuned, because topic number 5 will reveal cheeses you probably never thought could help with this. In this video, you'll understand why aging affects muscles so much, how nutrition can turn the tables, and most importantly, which 3 cheeses should be on the plate of every senior who wants to live with more strength, balance, and quality of life. All based on scientific evidence, recommendations from nutritionists specializing in elderly health, and practical guidance you can apply today. If you've ever felt weak when getting out of bed, struggled to walk long distances, or even noticed your legs getting thinner, this video is a game changer. And it's not just about appearance. Keeping muscles strong means fewer falls, more independence, and even a sharper brain. Ready to discover the foods that can transform your vitality after 60? And since we're talking about it, have you noticed any changes in your strength or energy over the years? Share your thoughts in the comments. What is sarcopenia, and why does it mainly affect the elderly? Sarcopenia isn't just a technical term that shows up in medical exams. It's a reality that impacts millions of people every year, often without them realizing it. It involves the progressive and widespread loss of skeletal muscle mass, something that starts to intensify around the age of 60. Naturally, the body begins to produce fewer anabolic hormones, such as testosterone and growth hormone, which weakens muscle synthesis. The result: the body starts consuming its own muscle to sustain itself. The interesting thing is that this condition doesn't manifest dramatically. It starts slowly. Climbing stairs becomes exhausting, getting up from the couch requires effort, and carrying groceries turns into a heavy task. Often, people attribute these signs to the weight of age, when in reality it's the body pleading for attention. The lack of muscle stimulation, combined with a diet deficient in quality proteins, worsens this condition even further. And the worst part is that the longer it goes on, the harder it is to reverse. A study published in the journal Age and Aging revealed that people with sarcopenia have up to 4 times the risk of falls and fractures. This means that the loss of muscle strength isn't just uncomfortable, it's dangerous. The independence that seemed guaranteed becomes threatened by simple imbalances. Ask any elderly person who has suffered a fall and they'll confirm: recovery isn't the same anymore. That's why understanding what's happening in the body is the first step to avoiding serious consequences in the future. Have you noticed any recent difficulty performing simple tasks, such as walking for longer periods or getting out of bed quickly? These signs may be the first indications that your muscles are calling for help. And the good news is that the body still responds, as long as it receives the right stimuli. Nutrition plays a powerful role in this process, and that's exactly what we'll delve into next. Because understanding the invisible dangers of muscle loss can open the eyes of those who aren't yet taking this issue seriously. The silent dangers of muscle loss with age. Muscle loss doesn't give a warning. It sets in gradually with simple daily actions. The effort to stand up from a chair, the lack of balance when putting on a sock, or the feeling of weakness when holding a bag. These signs are often ignored because they aren't accompanied by pain or fever. But that's precisely where the danger lies. Sarcopenia progresses silently, eroding the body's strength and stability until it becomes a serious problem. One of the biggest risks of muscle loss in older adults is related to falls. CDC data shows that in the United States, 1 in 4 people over 65 falls every year. And 1 in 5 of those falls causes serious injuries such as fractures or trauma. In other words, we're not just talking about physical discomfort, but a real threat to independence and even life itself. The person who falls today may become dependent tomorrow, but the dangers go beyond mobility. Muscle loss also affects metabolism. Less muscle means lower calorie burning, which can promote fat accumulation, insulin resistance, and even the onset of diseases like type 2 diabetes. In other words, weak muscles open the door to a series of imbalances in the body. And the most astonishing thing is that all of this could be avoided with simple measures that are often neglected. It is common to hear someone say, "Oh, it's just age catching up," as if it were normal to accept these limitations. But does aging really have to mean losing one's strength? Many studies show that active elderly people with a balanced diet can maintain healthy muscle mass for much longer. And the secret starts with what's on the plate. Next, you'll understand why the right foods make all the difference in fighting sarcopenia. The role of nutrition in combating sarcopenia. When it comes to muscle loss, many people immediately think of the gym and exercise. Yes, movement is essential. But what few realize is that nutrition is the foundation of muscle rebuilding, especially after 60. Without raw materials, the body simply cannot regenerate the muscle tissue it loses every day. That's why a diet rich in high-quality proteins, vitamins, and minerals is one of the most effective pillars for preventing sarcopenia. An elderly person's body does not metabolize nutrients the same way a young person's does. This means that even consuming the same amount of protein, the results will be different. Hence the importance of choosing food sources with high bioavailability, meaning those that the body absorbs easily. Foods like eggs, lean meats, natural yogurts, and specific cheeses stand out in this regard. Without these allies in the diet, muscles weaken day after day, even with regular physical activity. In addition to protein, nutrients like vitamin D, calcium, magnesium, and omega-3 are also essential for muscle preservation. Studies show that low levels of vitamin D are directly linked to a higher incidence of sarcopenia in the elderly. And here's a warning: deficiencies in these nutrients are very common in this age group. That's why maintaining a varied and functional diet is more than a recommendation. It's a physiological necessity that can change the course of aging. And before we continue, tell me, do you feel that your diet has been rich in high-quality protein sources? Write here in the comments which foods are part of your routine. This reflection is crucial because, in the next topic, we will talk about the 3 cheeses you should include in your diet. The 3 most recommended cheeses for strengthening muscles. For many, cheese is just a side dish. But for those over 60, certain cheeses can act as true allies in the fight against sarcopenia. This is because, besides being tasty and affordable, they are sources of complete proteins, rich in essential amino acids like leucine, which plays a direct role in muscle synthesis. When consumed correctly, these cheeses help maintain strength, improve balance, and even speed up recovery after physical exertion. The first on the list is cottage cheese. It is light, easy to digest, and a 100 g serving can provide over 11 g of protein with low-fat content. It is perfect for breakfast or an afternoon snack and can be mixed with fruits or used as a filling for whole grain sandwiches. Additionally, it contains casein, a slow-absorbing protein that nourishes muscles for longer, ideal for consumption at night. The second is Parmesan, which, despite having more fat and sodium, is extremely concentrated in calcium, phosphorus, and protein when used in small quantities. The key here is moderation. Sprinkling grated Parmesan on salads, soups, or cooked vegetables can be a smart way to enrich the meal without overdoing the calories. And because it is an aged cheese, it also provides natural probiotics that aid gut health. The third on the list is ricotta, one of the most versatile and healthy options. It is low in fat, mild in flavor, and pairs well with both sweet and savory dishes. A great idea is to mix it with herbs and olive oil and use it as a protein-rich spread for whole grain breads. Or even blend with fruits and honey for a nutritious snack. In addition to protein, ricotta provides calcium, zinc, and B-complex vitamins, which support muscle and bone health. And now the question that's on everyone's mind. Of these 3 cheeses, which one do you already consume frequently? Answer here in the comments. And if it's not yet part of your routine, in the next topic you'll discover practical ways to include these foods without compromising your cardiovascular health, maintaining a balance between flavor and functionality. How to include these cheeses in your routine without harming cardiovascular health. Although they are great allies in preserving muscle, cheeses need to be consumed with care to avoid becoming villains for cardiovascular health. Many older adults already deal with conditions like hypertension, high cholesterol, or coronary diseases. Therefore, the key lies in balance. Knowing which cheeses to choose, how much to consume, and how to pair them with other foods can make all the difference between a functional meal and a future problem. The first step is to prioritize versions low in saturated fat and sodium. Cheeses like cottage and ricotta are ideal because they provide a good dose of protein without overloading the heart. Parmesan, though saltier and higher in calories, can be used as a seasoning in small amounts, adding flavor and nutrients without excess. The rule is clear. Small portions spread throughout the week are more effective and safer than large amounts all at once. Another important tip is to pay attention to what accompanies the cheese. Instead of white bread and processed meats, which raise the glycemic index and fat content of the meal, opt for whole foods, fruits, raw vegetables, and extra virgin olive oil. For example, a snack with whole grain bread, ricotta seasoned with herbs, and tomato slices is much healthier than a sandwich with yellow cheeses and bacon. The right combination enhances the benefits and protects the cardiovascular system. Finally, guidance from a healthcare professional, such as a nutritionist, can help adjust portions in an individualized way. But in general, including these cheeses intelligently can be part of a safe and effective dietary plan. Now that it's clear how to balance flavor and health, it's worth asking, is what's on your plate today helping your muscles or sabotaging your heart? If you'd like, share here in the comments how you usually consume cheese in your daily life. If there's one thing time does not forgive, it's a body that isn't taken care of. But now you know that maintaining muscle strength after 60 doesn't depend on luck or genetics. It depends on choices. And some of them are very simple, like including foods in your daily life that act as true allies for your health. The cheeses you learned about today aren't just tasty, they're powerful tools for regaining vitality, balance, and independence. But here's a point worth reflecting on. What's the use of knowing all this and still repeating the same habits that weaken your body? Change starts with the next meal, the next trip to the grocery store, the next choice. So tell me, what will you put on your plate tomorrow morning? How about starting the day with cottage or ricotta and giving your muscles the fuel they really need? And more importantly, what did you learn today that surprised you the most? Comment below. Your experience could inspire others who are also striving to maintain their health. Let's create a space for sharing, because knowledge only has value when it circulates. Oh, and if this content helped you in any way, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. There's a lot of useful content coming up, with practical and evidence-based tips for those who want to age with quality, strength, and independence.